Hello, and welcome to Strength Training for Runners, Week 3, Day 2. Say hello to my lovely assistant. Hi, Ryan. So today we're going to add a completely new exercise. Yay! But not yet. First things first, we have to start with foam rolling. So Ryan's going to sit up on the foam roller, and she is going to start foam rolling. So welcome to Strength Training for Runners. I am putting my stopwatch together here because I forgot to grab it, but I have my phone nearby, so I'll talk more after I get this timing down here. Okay, Ryan, switch. So today I decided that it would be good to add a new exercise for the core. A lot of people like to do core exercises. To me, the core means like an apple core, which means goes all the way around. So it includes your abdominal muscles, and then it also includes your back, butt, hip, pelvis muscles. So we will go over why those are so important, especially for runners. But now Ryan's going to switch first. So the core, the abdominal muscles, that six-pack muscle, that's called your rectus abdominal. And it's actually one of the least important muscles as far as when we're trying to strengthen the core, because we're actually more interested in those deep core muscles, especially in the beginning. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with strengthening that six-pack muscle, the rectus abdominis, and it definitely plays a big role in doing things. And we'll go through some exercises today that it does play a role with, but it's not the main focus. Go ahead and switch. So, for example, the deep core muscles would include a muscle called your psoas. The psoas is a muscle that attaches to the lower lumbar vertebrae. It goes down inside the pelvis and then exits out in the fronter. What's a fronter? In the front aspect of your thigh. So, I speak good English. Anyways, I'm going to switch. So the front aspect of the thigh, and it joins with another muscle called the iliacus. The iliacus is along the iliac crest of the pelvis, and it's on the inner part. And those two muscles join to a common tendon that is known as a hip flexor. So a lot of people have been taught by popular media the importance of stretching your hip flexors, because when they get tight, it means you need to stretch them. And I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that I disagree with that philosophy. Go ahead and switch. So what I mean by disagreeing is I don't believe our muscles actually shrink and tighten. I think they get used to a very particular position. So when you're sitting, they get used to that shortened position. But the fact that you can stand up and walk would suggest that they did not shrink and get tighter, because you wouldn't be able to do that, or you'd walk all bent over. Which does happen, by the way. There are people who are stuck due to neurological problems, switch, or prolonged wheelchair positioning, where the tendon will actually get literally tight so you can't extend it out. You still can, it just takes a lot of work to do that. But anyway, so the iliac and psoas join in. They're pelvic stabilizers as well as hip flexors. So one of my teachers along the way is this man named Gary Gray, and he talks about how the muscles' function is different than their action. Go ahead and switch. For example, the hip flexor, the psoas, that muscle definitely does that, but it would also stabilize in order to allow the body to bend over. So if you're doing a crunch, for example, a lot of times people feel tightness in the front hip flexors, and that's because their psoas is stabilizing while they lift the upper torso muscles. So you're using your hip flexors to flex your spine instead of your hips. Anyway, that was probably not a good example, but okay, you can stop. We're going to start with marching. A better example is the quadriceps muscle. So the action of the quadriceps muscle is to straighten the knee, but the function of the quadricep muscle is to bend the knee. So for example, when you're sitting down in a chair, you're using your quadriceps even though you're going down in the chair. So it's eccentrically, it's lengthening while you're going down. So those old-fashioned extension machines like the Nautilus machines where you sit down and you kick your leg out, that definitely works your quadriceps, but it's just not a functional movement. A functional movement for the quadriceps would be, well, running. Another one would be chair squats, steps, things like that. So back to the core. Other muscles of the core include your diaphragm. So the diaphragm is a muscle that when it contracts, it pulls your lungs down to create a negative pressure, which allows air to go into your lungs. And the diaphragm is intimately connected through fascial networks with the psoas. So a lot more therapists, chiropractors, personal trainers, Pilates instructors, yoga instructors, they're all talking about breathing and combining it with exercises for your core. And part of it is because the psoas is so directly connected to it. So then there's also a muscle called your quadratus lumborum, which is attaching to your ribs down to your pelvis, another major stabilizer. And then of course your abdominals. And you have a muscle called your transverse abdominal, and that's a muscle that's deep on the deepest layers of the abdominal region. Then you have your internal and external obliques. Those are muscles that make up your love handles. And then you have your rectus abdominal, the six-pack muscle. So those external oblique muscle is one that I found when I went to the gross anatomy lab was definitely connected to running. That was why I told this whole story of core, because the external oblique is a big player in running. So as Orion's doing these motions right now, the leg that's staying on the ground, so now her left leg, those abdominal muscles are contracting to help hold her pelvis still while the right knee moves, the right hip moves. So the knee lift position, when you're doing that, the opposite leg, the leg that's touching the ground, you're getting the muscles of the glutes firing, but you're also getting the lateral muscles of the abdominal region firing. And it's all about how that pelvis is tilting and how it's being held. So the core is incredibly valuable, and that was a long-winded way of saying our warm-up is over, and now we're going to go do the core on the floor. So Ryan's going to put the band on right away for the core exercises. And I'm going to show a brand new exercise today, and we'll start with the new exercise. So I'm going to walk Orion through this. I already taught her beforehand what to do, but I'm going to have her follow my instructions just like at home. So the first thing is take a nice deep breath, and on the exhale, you're just going to bring your right knee towards your chest, leave your left foot on the ground. Good. And then back down. Inhale. On the exhale. Good. And so when you keep going, Orion, and just pause, take your deep breath, and then on the exhale, bring your knee up. She's going to do 5 on each side. So one of the things you can tell when you're taking a really deep breath is your belly will actually lift up a little bit too. So you really want it, there we go. Try to get the air into the full regions of the lung. If you're just feeling it up in the chest area, up in your shoulders, you're breathing up in that part of the lungs. I want to get down into the abdominal area as well. So the lungs go all the way down just below the ribs. And when they pull down, they can go even deeper into, so you'll feel your belly lift there. So after 5, Orion is going to lift both feet into the air. And now, bend your knees a little bit. Good. Now hold your left leg still and bring your right foot to the ground. Good. And then bring it back up with control. And then let's put the bands up a little bit higher, Ryan. So slide them up closer to the knees. Good. And now go. So the key is actually the leg that's staying still. Bring your knees a little bit closer to your chest. So you want to be a little bit past 90 when you do it. This is the way you engage those psoas muscles and your deep abdominal muscles. So some people, when they're doing this, will feel their six-pack, their rectus abdominal, tightening up, which is good because it's stabilizing the pelvis while you move your femur, your thigh bone. So Ryan is going to do 5 on each side. And this is the new one. So this is to strengthen the front core. The first few we did was the back and side core, and now we're doing the front core as well. And then after that, Orion, grab the weight, and you're going to do the external rotation, so the knee out to the side. And we're going to do 10 on each side. So hold in one hand, and we'll do 5 in the right hand, and then we'll do 5 in the left hand. So this particular exercise, the reason for the weight, remember, is to also engage those front core muscles. When Orion holds on with one hand, it definitely works more of one side. It's still the front core, so she's working her obliques, the transverse abdominal, the psoas, the diaphragm, all those fun muscles. She's also working the lateral stabilizers, which are going to be your glute muscles, as well as that quadratus lumborum and your external oblique abdominal. So Ryan's been telling me that the workout's getting easy for her again, so next time maybe we'll do a harder band. So I'm just kidding, she's not telling me that. If you're finding that you're getting through these really easy, then you want to... I just realized something. I'll tell you guys another time. An epiphany. Okay, Ryan, we're going to do the bridges now. And we're going to do, let's see, have the hands on the ground, lifting up, and we'll do 20-second holds. So we're going to do 20-second holds 3 times on both legs, and then we'll move on to the side planks. Good. I was just realizing when you were doing those, Orion, that we weren't counting for people. So as you were doing them, I haven't had them count. It's easier when we time it, but when you're doing repetitions, I probably should have counted out loud. 3 weeks in. Oops, sorry people. Switch. So we have reopened at Good Emote Physical Therapy this week, and we're seeing patients again. And it's pretty cool to see because right now it is one-on-one therapy like a lot of patients love. And obviously some people are not ready to go out, and that's fine, but we have post-op people. Stop. Switch. We've had a couple ACL reconstructions, shoulder surgery, hip surgery, things like that. And these are people that really benefit, especially early on, from therapy. So, but it's also kind of cool because my therapists are really enjoying not being rushed to do things. Okay, switch. And there's no rain today. It's sunny. Ryan and I were talking earlier about NCIS, so we get to watch. We're at a cliffhanger right now, and we only watch on the weekends, so we have to wait. Stop, switch. The last episode surprised us both. We figure we have one more day, then we get to watch again. And we've agreed that we're going to watch no matter how many shows until they come to the conclusion of this particular cliffhanger for us. Even if it's a whole season's worth, we're going to binge watch. Good. Ryan, switch. Okay, so now we're going to do side planks, and we're going to do it the hard way. So if you remember last time we did this, if it's too hard for you to lift your top leg, then just go back to the regular way, and then you're going to, are you too close? Then with the regular way, you're just going to increase how long you're holding. So it's okay to hold as long as 30 seconds. But when you get to around, 15, 20 seconds, then generally speaking, you can go on to this one. So we'll hold for 10 seconds. Good correction. Notice Orion lifted her foot. The trick here is to try to keep your foot higher than your knee. So the lift leg, her left leg. Go ahead, switch, or rest, sorry. So we're going to do 3 on this side, and then we'll do 3 on the other side. Try to keep that foot a little bit higher. Good. It's a weird feeling too when you're doing it. It's called internal rotation, and it's down. It's more difficult to do it that way. And if you're able to do this for 10 seconds like Orion is right now, pretty easily, Then we're going to have to switch her to 15 seconds, but we'll do that next time because I promised 10 seconds this time. Good. And we will switch sides. I say we, I mean you. Good. And the easier side. She's definitely going to need to go for longer. I actually like when it gets to a struggle rest, because then I know we're getting to that fatigue and progression. If you're finding these too easy, do it for longer periods. And the other way to make it even more challenging is take a shorter rest. So when Orion goes down, you can stay up for longer and then rest for shorter. Good. So let's grab the band. We're going to do one more. I'm sorry. I knew that. Just testing you. Sorry, everybody. Thank God for Orion, huh? Very nice. Orion, lift your hand in the air. That's another way to progress. Good. And down. Now put the bands on. Chop, chop. So we're going to do the lateral toe tap. Let's put the weight vest on as well. So we'll do a set of 15. We're going to do 2 sets of 15. That little noise I made was because I realized I wanted to progress this one and I didn't tell Ryan, so I'm going to teach you how to make this one harder. So one progression for today is adding the new exercise, and another progression will be the lateral toe taps. Honestly, when I'm in the clinic or if I'm working one-on-one with somebody, I'm always looking to see how easy the task is. And if I see that it's just too easy for them, then I want to progress it right there and then. There's other ways to do that too, more strategic, but in this particular program, I'm trying to obviously accommodate for several people. So if it's just Orion that I was working with, then I would focus more on where she's struggling and spend a little bit more time on that specific area that needs improvement. So put the band down by your ankles. Good. And we'll do the same thing. So one big difference here, and one thing you got to pay attention to, and Ryan's doing great, is the knee on her left leg. So when you have the band above the knee, it gives you a sensation. You have a cue there that allows you to feel, and that helps you to stabilize the knee. So when we drop it down at the ankle, you no longer have that, and so it makes it more challenging to keep the knee in the correct position. Now Ryan's doing it perfectly, so I wouldn't change anything how she's doing it, but just at home when you're doing it, know that if you feel your knees caving in a little bit, it might be too much at the ankle. So you would just put it below the knee. So it's still near the knee and you're still going to get that physical feedback, that kinesthetic feedback. However, goal would be to bring it down towards the ankle where it's much more difficult. So the lever is longer, so therefore the resistance increases. Great. So now let's go to the chair and we'll do some staggered stance squats. So around this time last time, the iPad just shut off. So this time we've made it past last time. You guys may not know that at home, but the last video we did, it stopped on us 2 separate times. So I had to record, and then I sent it off to Katie, and Katie hopefully edited them in place so it's smooth for you guys. But if you see a glitch in it, that's why. And I don't know why. Maybe time for a new iPad. Guess what you're getting for your birthday this year, Ryan? She's got the routine down. So if you guys have been noticing, because I pointed out, or you're just noticing on your own, she's moving that right foot forward. So she's putting all the weight on the left leg so that she has probably 80 to 90% of the weight going down on the left leg, and the right one is just primarily for balance right now. And the further out away it is from the body, the more work on the leg that's close to the chair. And so the progression would be to gradually do that. And as I said the last couple videos, you'll notice that her foot on the left leg is moving further away from the right one now. So where she had weakness, it's becoming more symmetrical. And obviously that's the point. We want to try to identify where you're weak, and we want to try to make it so it's not weak anymore, or it's closer. There are times where it won't ever get to 100% for whatever reason. There could be, some people have had damage from the spine, for example, and you're never going to get 100% strength back. Some of you are really right hand dominant, so you have a very, very stable left side. Floor star? Yep. So today what Orion's going to do is try to work on as little contact with that toe as possible. So she's balancing, so it's probably 95% on the left leg while the right leg reaches in all the different positions. And at home, if you're getting the pattern down with the lower half, start really working on that upper half. See if you can start coordinating the arms to go with the legs too. It's just one added dimension to make it a little bit more difficult. I did a video today on plantar fasciitis rather. I'm not sure you guys are going to see it because I'm not sure it was a good video. The content was good, but I forgot to listen to it afterwards, so I asked Katie to. I will do a video on plantar fasciitis no matter what, so if this one's not good, then it'll be another one. But the main theme with the plantar fasciitis is strengthen your foot and do exercises that prevent stiffness and weakness. So stiffness comes from wearing too many inserts or been wearing them too long. It also comes from wearing too big of a heel. So that can include dress shoes or sneakers. And for a while they were boosting up the heels on sneakers, and that actually makes you more susceptible to plantar fasciitis. And also foam rolling is way more effective than stretching. Stretching actually isn't very effective for plantar fasciitis. It's okay to do if you like it, but it's not going to improve anything. Yes. Very good, Orion. You've got the routine down. So what I mean by that is a lot of times people are trying to stretch this tissue, and over the last 5 years we've learned that it's not as much an inflammation as it is a degeneration. So we have degeneration of the tissue, and to stretch degenerative tissue doesn't really serve much purpose. It's okay to do, it's not a negative to do, but it's also not the most effective. The most effective is to get the muscles to be stronger because they will absorb the forces and take the load and tension off of the fascia. And so the shoes, if you're up on a heel, it shrinks not shrinks, it's the wrong word. It keeps your Achilles in a shortened position, and that actually adds to the strain. So when you're running, you're not getting the Achilles to take the load, which it's designed to do. So you start to take it through other means, and that's part of the problem. It's way more complex than that, but it's part of the problem. I did this research because I did a workshop at iRun Local on plantar fasciitis, and so I did a lot of reading on it. And there's a lot of myths out there that come from, unfortunately, from journals like Runner's World and things like that. And then it gets perpetuated by people like me. So for whatever reason, I decided to actually just read research on it, and I found out that the things I mentioned to you are what has been shown in the research to be helpful, and the other things have not been shown to be as effective. They're not negative though, so they don't interfere with the progress, but they equally don't speed up the whole process. I think we did something different today because we're going to get done in less than 30 minutes today. Oh, I know why, because we didn't do 2 sets of the core stuff. That's why. I didn't want to, by the way, so it was on purpose. I want to make the core exercises harder, so we're going to do 4 exercises, just 1 set through, but we'll increase the repetitions and we'll increase the holds and we'll increase the bands and all that kind of stuff. so that it won't be multiple sets of it. That was intentional. I was just noticing the time, that's all. Who am I talking to, Orion? Oh, I'm talking to you guys, that's who. In the meantime, Orion is leading this perfectly, so follow her lead. She's got this down. Very nice. I noticed when she was doing these that these weights are right about her limit. So you'll see that on the way back, or at least last time on the way back, her heels, she was having a harder time keeping them up like she is right now. It could be because I didn't mention it, and now she will no matter what. But if you look backwards, you'll see that the heels were sinking down a little bit, especially with the soleus one, so where the knees were bent. Seems to be pretty good so far here. This is how she walks around the house most days. Good job, Orion. Very nice. Well, congratulations to you all. That was week 3, day 2 of strength training for runners. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me, please call 518-306-1225 or email me at physiofitpt@gmail.com. And it's you guys know that because you went on our website, but there's a PT in it as well. Any questions about it? If you have a particular topic you'd like me to do a tip on, also go ahead and email me. I'm happy to do that. I plan to keep doing this even past when the coronavirus goes away. So if you guys have something you want to have a tip on, just a 5-minute or less kind of video on a suggestion for runners, again, I am happy to do that. I'm going to do it anyways, but sometimes it's fun when people give me a topic because I can get a little bit more deep into it, knowing that somebody's interested about it. So anyways, thank you guys very much. I will see you, I'll talk to you soon, or you'll hear me talking to you soon. Bye-bye.